And the winner is... Yes. So welcome, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy Academy Award Sunday. It's one of my favorite award shows. And I love all the different things that you can be awarded, right? There's Best Picture, there's Best Director, there's Best Actor, there's Best Dressed. Yeah, this is my... I don't usually get this dressed up on a Sunday, and I thought, well, it's Academy Awards Sunday. I'm going to get all dressed up. And I remember, one of my favorite things to do is, not only watch the Academy Awards, but I love the red carpet, watching all the people parade in their best outfits, and, they talk about, who wore what and all of that. And back in, I think it was 8 years ago-ish, I don't remember the exact time frame, but I'm a SAG member, and I got to go to not the actual awards, but I got to go to the pre-show on the red carpet. And oh my God, that was so amazing to see all these actors, people that you've seen, in the movies, you've seen on TV, to actually be like, you could almost touch them. You could almost touch them. So of course, I'm very excited about, today, because it's, the Oscars. So let's take a look. And I'm going to get to this at the very end, but let's just take a moment, because I think it is important for us to acknowledge what is going on. Like I said, I'm going to bring this into our meditation today, but all right, thank you. And it is a fine line that we walk, I think, sometimes on a Sunday when we come here. We want to be inspired. We want to live the best lives we possibly can. We want to have it all. And there's so many people in the world that, are struggling and suffering. There for us to make ourselves small. So let's rise up. And on today, on Oscar Sunday, right, there are so many competitions. It's not just today, obviously. There's so many different events and shows that, we want to award winners to. There's, as I mentioned, there's the SAG Awards, there's the Oscars, then there's the Olympics, which we just came off of, and the Paralympics. And there's races, right, the 5Ks, the 10Ks, the half marathons, marathons. Anybody out here do races of any kind? A few? See a couple hands going up. Yeah. And then, of course, there's all those reality shows. I know a bunch of hands are going to go up for those, right? I absolutely love all those singing shows. We're a big Voice fan in our household. Absolutely love that. But I think what I love most about those shows is how passionate everyone is to bring their talent forward. Right? And I hate at the very end that we have to choose one winner. Why do we have to choose one winner when everyone is so incredibly talented individually? But we live in a culture where we have to judge everything. Right? We have to vote for the winner. Think about social media. That's all about how many likes am I going to get, or how many followers am I going to have. And what if we had to choose every day between, okay, the sun or the moon? Well, I'm a sun girl. But I'd never sleep if the sun didn't go down. Or what about if we had to choose between winter and summer? Or we had to choose apples or oranges? Or God forbid, we should have to choose between cookies and ice cream. Well, at least they have ice cream sandwiches, so whew, I don't have to make that choice. Yeah, there we go. I knew I went too fast. So Zig Ziglar, who is a motivational speaker and very successful in sales, he said that you were born to win, but to be a winner, you have to plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. That sounds an awful lot like what we teach, isn't it? Right? The power of the mind, what we think about, we bring about. And so if you want to be a winner in any area of your life, you have to plan. You have to prepare. You have to expect to win, to have it all. You can have it all. Now, this comic strip, I think, really illustrates what that quote is all about and really what we teach. And this has been on my bulletin board for years. It was actually in the photo from last week. And it says, as you can see, the runner way up front, I know I can. And then slightly behind, I think I can. Right? That's a little engine that could. Maybe I can. Then we've got I probably can't. I know I can't. And why even try? Right? So when we have the belief that we can, we do. We can have it all, we can be a winner, but we absolutely have to believe it. It starts here, right, in the power of the mind. So, many of you know that Sylvester Stallone had a really rough time getting his film Rocky made. And it was actually in 1977 that the film was nominated for 9 or 10 awards. Actually, I don't know if it was 9 or 10. But it did win Best Picture. And I love his quote, "Every champion was once a contender who refused to give up." And as you can see in that picture, that's me. And ironically enough, the race, that virtual race that I did, was from the International Day of Happiness, which is what I talked about last Sunday. And this was the actual award that they mailed to us, this medal. And I wasn't not going to do a race, even though it wasn't in person anymore. It was a virtual race. So actually, let me hold it up for all of you folks to see. And God bless my wonderful husband, because he made sure when I got home and I finished my loop in my neighborhood, as I came up the apartment stairs, I didn't know he was doing this, but I could hear the Rocky theme play. And he, as you can see, he put it on, I guess that was YouTube, right? And I came in, and they put the medal on me, and I got to feel like a winner. And I really did. I really felt like a winner. My arms don't even look too bad in that picture. So there we go. I just shot that picture last night, or before I sent the slides. But those are all the medals that I've won over the years. And I started running in my early 50s. I think I mentioned that before. I was a coach for my daughter's Girls on the Run program in elementary school. I really wasn't a runner. I exercised, but I really wasn't a runner. So you had to run to be in this program. So that's when I started running. And the program finished with a 5K race for the girls to do. So that was my very first race at 50-something. And over the years, I was like, wow, this is kind of fun. So I run for 3 reasons: fitness, fun, and to finish. So these are all my finisher medals, including 4 from here in Wilmington since I moved here. And one of my favorite runs was, as far as fun goes, was running for ice cream. And I'll show you that picture. The sweetness of victory. This was actually in Jacksonville, so my son and I drove an hour to go do this race. And you had the choice. You could sign up for the 5K or the 5K challenge. And the challenge was you had to eat 3 full cones of ice cream or custard, plus you get the sundae for finishing at the very end. So can you imagine, you run a mile, you get an ice cream, right? And that was exciting. That was like, wow. But you had to finish the whole cone before they would check the mark on your bib to go to run the next mile. So we did it. We ran the next one. We didn't know there was going to be another cone that we had to eat. It's like, you're kidding me, right? I have to eat another ice cream cone? And I love ice cream or custard. So then the second mile, then you go into the woods, and that's where the challenge is. Now, don't get scared. It was like 25 burpees, 25 jumping jacks, 25 squat somethings or other, I don't remember. But it was a bunch of different things we had to do, calisthenics. And then you had to eat another ice cream cone. And then you finish the race, and they put the medal on you, and then you get an ice cream sundae. Oh, my God. It sounded fun in theory, and I did enjoy the ice cream. But anyway, I've also run for wine. I didn't include that picture. I thought about it. And the one downtown that I did, which was the historic 5, 10K, probably half marathon as well, downtown. And you finish and you get beer and barbecue. And that was at like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I did have the beer, though. I didn't have the barbecue. Right. So as I said, I do it for the fun of it. And it's so important when you think about, right, if I want to be a winner, I'm not going to be a winner unless I'm really enjoying myself. Right? When you talk to many athletes and business people, they do what they do because they love doing it. They don't do it because they just want to win. That's like the icing on the cake. Now, enough about me. You didn't come here to hear about all of my running escapades. Right? And it's still Women's History Month, so I wanted to talk about some other inspiring women. Not that you men aren't inspiring and aren't winners, so let's just get that out of the way, because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But I was looking at, so many women, and men, truthfully, that really did inspire me, and I thought, wow, right, if we truly want to be inspired, there's so many people that are doing things that have gone through so much and that they've overcome. So we know Greta Thunberg, she stood up, right, and talked about climate change and how important it is for us to pay attention to that. Then we have Malala, who stood up to the Taliban for girls' education. Megan Rapinoe, do we remember who she is? Soccer, yep. Stood up for equal pay for women athletes, who, by the way, apparently the soccer team was number one, making less than the men who were, I don't know, definitely not number one. I don't know what they were ranked. Then we have Helena Aden. She was the first woman, probably still the first woman, to wear a hijab in Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, or whatever you call the magazines when they come out. Right? Nobody had ever done that before. Right? Now, the next two you probably never heard of. And as I was doing my research, I was just so inspired by some of the women that I said, I have to include these two. So Meg Zucker was born with a condition called ectrodactyly, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, which is she was born with shortened forearms, one finger on each hand, and one toe on each foot. She went on to become a very successful lawyer. And she did if you read her story, she talks about how she did her best to kind of, conceal her disability, or she really didn't share it. But it wasn't until her son, because she passed this down to two of her three children, and two of her sons were born with the same condition. And it wasn't until her son was severely bullied on the playground at school that she said, I've got to do something about this. So she started a foundation called Don't Hide It, Flaunt It, to support both visible and invisible disabilities, because she also has a daughter that she adopted that has severe food allergies. So in the schools, she has contests where children can do art, they can do a number of different things, but really it's all about don't hide it, flaunt it. I was very inspired by that story, right? And I found her actually through Mindy Shire's story. Just so happened, and this happens all the time, no mistakes. I'll be working on a talk, and I like to have, show TV on in the background. So as I'm working on this, there's a story that comes up on Good Morning America about this woman who runs the foundation called the Foundation of Dreams. I think that's what it's called. Runway of Dreams Foundation. And it's all about doing fashion shows for kids with disabilities or people with disabilities. And again, it started because her son, who has muscular dystrophy, was complaining that it was really hard to get dressed, and he really wanted a pair of jeans that he could put on pretty easily. And so she designs, delivers, and supports the fashion world in creating adaptive clothing for disabilities of all kinds. So, clothes that are easy to pull on, clothes that look like, what we would wear, but there's Velcro or snaps, or if you're in a wheelchair or you're dealing with prosthetics, your pants that could easily just, come on, come off very, very easily. And again, so inspired by what she's doing. As a matter of fact, she has a program in the universities that support these runway shows. And there was one at Duke on Thursday. So I was like, wow. So women, men, all ages, all genders that are doing things to overcome adversity, winning no matter what. And the last one that I'm going to talk about today, I think a lot of us know, Jessica Long. So you might not know her name, but you may have seen her story. She's an Olympian. She's a para-Olympian. And you might know her from the commercials that were running, the Toyota Super Bowl commercials. Everybody remember seeing those commercials? She was adopted from an orphanage, a Russian orphanage, ironically enough, when she was 13 months old. And she also was born with a condition where she didn't have bones in the lower half of her legs and not too many in her feet. And so it was decided that they were going to amputate. And it was, being in the pool where she started to feel like, I'm just like everybody else. And she said that, I believe that in everyone's life there's at least one game-changing moment where you can either give into adversities and embrace what's thrown your way, and refuse to give up. And she went through, I think, 25 different surgeries in her young life. And she clearly didn't give up. She went on to win 23 medals and 13 gold medals, refusing to give up. Just like Sylvester Stallone refused to give up his baby, his movie that he wrote, unless he could act in it. He wasn't nominated, but his film was, and it did go on to win. So what would you, when you think about all the different adversities that we experience, I mean, right now we are living and watching what's going on in Russia and the Ukraine, and the Ukrainian people are refusing to give up. We are, coming out of a pandemic. We are here. There are businesses that are still in business that refuse to give up. They just found different ways of being in business. I mean, the entire racing industry refused to give up. They did virtual races. They mailed us our bibs and our medals, refusing to give up. So what is your adversity that, maybe you had to get through, get over? You don't have to have, be born with a condition. Maybe you were laid off. Maybe you got divorced. Maybe you went through bankruptcy. What are we, trying to overcome? So here's the first part of our lesson, which is that Spirit's got your back. Spirit's got your back. No matter what the adversity, you can get through that. I just kind of alluded to one adversity that people have gone through, which is bankruptcy, whether it's a business or personally. And I went through that. I went through that in my life. And I didn't let it stop me from moving forward in the things that I wanted to do. I refused to give up on my dreams. I refused to give up to do the things that I wanted to do. So what would you do if you knew without a shadow of a doubt that Spirit's got your back? No matter what your adversity, no matter what the conditions, no matter what you might be going through, that Spirit's got your back. So Jessica Long also said, I didn't come this far to only come this far. I'm sure she spent hours and hours and hours in the pool training. And I'm sure it wasn't easy. Because I know it wasn't easy for me, and it still isn't easy to get out there and do a 5K. And I don't have any disabilities, except up here sometimes. Right? So knowing Spirit's got your back, again, going back to bankruptcy, I'll tell you just a little bit of that story. I was out of work, and we were struggling financially, and I knew I wanted to do something with my life. I had left behind a chapter of sales executive for 25 years, kind of transitioned, remember we're still in transition month, transitioned into looking at different things. I knew I always wanted to start my own business, but I was in a place where, I was going through adversity. And I was sitting in an information evening in Santa Monica at the University of Santa Monica for their program of spiritual psychology. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh my God, I want to do this program so bad. It just called to me. But I thought, I don't have any money. How am I going to do this master's program? I have no money to do this. I'm barely making ends meet right now. But there was something in me. It's like Spirit's got my back. I was already, going through practitioner studies, and I was in the science of mind teaching. So I was like, okay, something within me knew that all I needed to do was step into this, that it was going to be okay. And I sat in the back of the room with the counselors, the enrollment counselors, and they said, well, you could apply for a partial scholarship. And I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe I only have to come up with half of that. Not sure where it's going to come from yet, but I have to trust. I have to trust. And there's no point about worrying about something that may or may not happen in the future. Worrying is just a misuse of faith. So if I already had faith that God had my back, then why would I doubt that I couldn't finish the program? Right? So move forward with year one, right? Scholarship. And somehow the money came for what I needed to contribute. So lesson 2, or part of our lesson today is, right? Listen, follow your soul's calling. We talked about that last week with, right, when you are doing what you love to do, when you are passionate and following your soul's calling, you're happier. Right? You're happier, but you have to listen. You cannot let doubt, fear, insecurity stop you. So think about all the people, if they hadn't listened to their soul's calling. I'm thinking of all those voice shows. What if Kelly Clarkson or Jennifer Hudson never followed their soul's calling? Or Wolfgang Puck, who 25 years, I believe, he is still the cook on the Oscars. Think about all the amazingly talented people, including yourselves. What if you never followed your calling? Right? If I hadn't listened and trusted Spirit had my back and followed my soul's calling, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have gotten, my master's. I wouldn't have gotten my practitioner's license. I wouldn't become a minister. I wouldn't have started a business. I don't know what my life would have been like, but I wouldn't be here right now. So when you listen to your soul's calling, you move forward, and you are winning because you're doing what you love to do. So Jessica Long said, the only disability in life is a negative attitude. And as I said, she won 23 medals, 13 gold medals. And this obviously is what we teach, is it all begins up here. What we think about, we bring about. So a negative attitude is the biggest disability most able-bodied people deal with, is believing I can't, believing it's too hard, saying I don't have the money, I don't have the education, I don't have the time. There's so many things we throw on our path to stop ourselves, and yet the only disability in life is a negative attitude. We want to be positive. We want to be winners. So, the secret here, truthfully, is you're already a winner. How many of you believe that? That you are already a winner? Yes. Most days, as Katie said. Most days. Right, here's the truth. You're already a winner because you beat out millions and millions of those little swimmers. Can you see the picture there? Yes, I was trying to be a little discreet. Remember my audience here. You're already a winner. You don't need a medal. You don't need a trophy. You don't even need a mirror ball to be a winner. You don't need to stand on a podium to be a winner. You just need to stand in the truth of who you are. You are enough. You are smart enough. You are wise enough. You are able-bodied enough to have the life that you want. You are already a winner. Emerson said, and this is one of my favorite Emerson quotes, "Dare to live the life you have dreamed for yourself. Go forward and make your dreams come true. No matter what. No matter what. Listen to your soul's calling. Trust that Spirit's got your back. Know that you're already a winner." We realized the dream of home ownership. That is our new house. It's not a new house, but it's new to us. And as you know, it was years and years in the making, but that was the dream that I had, was to own a home, to be able to have all of us under one roof, and my daughter and her boyfriend moved here last week from Atlanta, so yay! I feel like I won the golden ticket, because I've got my whole family under one roof, and I'm in a beautiful community, in a house, which was my dream. And I did my first load of laundry in my washer and dryer. Thank you for remembering, Katie. Yes, you can relate to that one, right? I had somebody come over to give me an estimate on putting a deck in. I'm going to consider putting a pool in. I mean, these are things, when you want these things, it's It's your soul calling out. What is it that you want to do? How do you want to live? What makes you happy? That's what makes you a winner, living who you are, being true to yourself. So I want to finish with a quote from another amazing woman. This is from Jane Goodall. And we know she was a primatologist. She was a chimpanzee expert. She was also the UN Peace Award winner. I know that's not the exact title, but UN, you can look it up, something. What was it? Messenger, thank you. Messenger of Peace Award. Thank you, Chris. Yeah. And I thought this would be a really beautiful way to finish our lesson today. So she said, we move towards a world where we live in harmony with nature, where we live in harmony with each other, no matter what nation we come from, no matter what religion, no matter what culture. This is where we're moving towards. I wish it was where we are, but when we trust that Spirit has our back and we listen to our soul's calling and we do what makes us happy, we are already a winner. And so, let's take a moment and go into meditation and bring these words of peace into that. So I invite you just to close your eyes, if it's comfortable. And let us know together that this beautiful vision, this dream, is already here.